Perfect, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I've shared a pre-press copy of this book chapter I wrote a few years ago, but it goes into detail about what I'm talking about now. When I talk about this and when I present it to my undergraduates, I do talk about design fictions. I won't go into detail about design fictions. Hopefully you're aware of design fictions and how useful they are. But one of the things that I feel when we're talking about videos is that we should be telling stories as HCI researchers. It's one of those things that is really, really important. And it's the whole idea that people don't understand what you're talking about half the time. And the best way to get people to understand what you're proposing, especially if it's something that doesn't exist at the moment, is to tell them a story of this thing existing. And if you tell people stories, they're much more likely to understand what you're proposing as a new interaction. I'm really a digital media practitioner at heart, and I kind of moved into HCI. But I talk a lot about mediated experience, and you can see down there I've got a picture of a Sherpa on Mount Everest. And one of the things that I say is I was watching this television program on the BBC, which is great, and it was called Sherpa, and it was about the life of a Sherpa who lived on Mount Everest, or the life of the Sherpas who lived on Mount Everest, and their daily challenges. Now, what that does is it gives me an idea of what the experience of being a Sherpa is. I will never know what it's like to have been born in Nepal and become a Sherpa. There's no way on earth I'm ever going to experience that. But watching this television program actually gives me some sense of the life world of somebody. In the same way that if I watch the film Terminator, I have a sense of what it's like to be chased by a ruthless cyborg who's determined to kill me. You know, obviously these are fantastical, but the point is that you gain some form of this experience. You know, we're all aware that user experience is such an important thing. So mediating experience and telling people stories about experience. Now, I've got a task for you. Oh no, hang on. Did I give you a task? There it is. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce you to this thing called Sidfield's paradigm. If this, I'm warning you now, I'm now ruined every single Hollywood movie you've ever seen, because every single Hollywood movie you've ever seen must follow this. If your script does not follow this, then it won't be accepted by the big studios. And it's such a simple 3-act structure that it's really quite spooky. But as I say, everybody uses it, and it's this whole idea of we enjoy plays, and this has been going on in narrative theory for a very long time, in the fact that what keeps your attention is rising tension, and this idea that moving and finding it difficult to move forward through time actually keeps your attention. Now you've got the setup, which is here right at the beginning, and you get this thing at plot point 1. And this conforms, and I'll show you how, this conforms to time, absolutely. So you'll find that these plot points happen exactly. If you split a movie down through time, watch any film, Toy Story is a good one, Finding Nemo, Pixar films all follow this. Terminator is really good with this, and I'll quickly do Terminator for you. So 2 weird people arrive, and they're both searching for a woman called Sarah Connor. Here, they both meet inside a nightclub. Turns out one's there to protect her, one's there trying to kill her. They run away, it chases them. They end up inside the police station. The Terminator comes and kills everybody. They run away. She realizes that her only hope is to follow this madman who's told her he's from the future to protect her. They work together. Then at this point, they have sex. Suddenly, it becomes personal, and they both fight the Terminator together, and they resolve it by killing the Terminator. That is Terminator. It literally follows that. If you go on Netflix and pause the video, it will conform to that. Now, I've got a 2-minute video for you to quickly watch. I wanted you to do this on your own devices because I didn't like sharing. So I've done you a tiny URL. If you could just quickly watch that, and I shall be very quiet while you do so. Okay, so have we all, hopefully we've all watched that video and seen that. So what that is, that's the magic of Kickstarter. That was actually an Indiegogo project. I always say the magic of Kickstarter, because what Kickstarter does is it presents you with a product that doesn't exist, the story of a product that doesn't exist. Sorry, so, and it presents you with the story of a product that doesn't exist, and then you give the people money and they make the thing real. This is magic. This is the power of storytelling. This is one of the most incredible things that of our modern society that really excites me. But when you watch this video, now there's a lot of science to back this up. So there's a researcher called Paul Ziff, and he did some really interesting studies where he took blood samples from people, showing them unstructured narratives and showing them structured narratives. And he found that people who were shown the structured narratives actually produced oxytocin and cortisol. And the result of producing oxytocin and cortisol makes you more likely to believe someone, to have empathy, and more likely to give them money. This is what his study has demonstrated, is actually this narrative structure. So what I wanted to do very quickly was show you how that video you've just seen conforms to that 3-act structure. And you can look here, it's 2 minutes and 4 seconds long. We get our plot point exactly at that point, at 31 seconds, where he says, Skylock is keyless entry for your bike. So he introduces the idea of it, and he says those words which tell you, boom, that's the thing. So this is what we're looking at. You then move and you get the plot point, which is this midpoint here, theft alert, exchange of glances. That's a period of distress for him. It becomes tense. And then we move to the next point. We move into the resolution, where he hits the post box. You notice it happens. And if you look at this line here, the way that it really conforms unbelievably to time to help you structure this narrative. And then here's a small diagram of it. As I say, I go into it in much more detail in my book chapter and discussing this, but this is really to introduce you to this idea of, if you're going to make a 90-second video, or if you're going to make a short video, be aware of this. Don't follow it, slavishly, but be aware that this will work. It's been shown to work across numerous Hollywood films, and it's been shown to make people that feel that things are more, to believe you more and to have more empathy to you. I just want to introduce you, if you want to know more about narrative theory, you do need to get to know Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey. But alternative to that is Dan Harmon's Story Circle. And if you're not aware of Dan Harmon writes, and I've lost my mind. So he writes Community and Rick and Morty. Hopefully most of you are aware of Rick and Morty. But he has created this. There are loads of references to this, to how to look at this. But he's shown, and if you watch an episode of Rick and Morty, there is in fact an episode of Rick and Morty which deliberately actually conforms to this and tells you it's conforming to this. Every episode of Community follows this structure, and this structure is based on the hero's journey. Understand this. We as human beings, when we listen to stories, we love structure.